Hello and welcome to the Meeting Gold podcast. Today we have a really special guest, an influencer, a fitness model, and a just crazed fitness addict. I mean, come on. You work out probably every day, way more than any of us here. So, Makayla, can you give us a little introduction on you, the audience? Just tell them a little bit about yourself and even talk to me because I don't know too much about you too. So
my name is Michaela Rogerson. I am a model and fitness entrepreneur here in Niagara, born and raised in St. Catharines actually. And basically I kind of started my fitness journey in school, just playing all the sports that were offered. And then through the years of high school, ended up having my son. So in between all of that, I also ended up gaining the interest into the modeling industry and have built a career from the age of 15 to where I am now, and have started a modeling agency called Our House Agency, where I represent and train models here in Niagara as well and around to Toronto.
That's incredible. So basically, are you all self-taught in a way?
Basically, yeah. I've never, for instance, in high school, I did dance and whatnot, competitive, but I wasn't in a studio.
Nothing crazy, right?
Everything's all been self-taught. I've completely done a lot of self-education and reading and
reading
videos.
Definitely. It seems like I've always kind of said this is experience is the best teacher, right? And you can go to school for the rest of your life, but if you don't have a real world experience, it's going to be very hard to understand how to go out, get shoots booked, right? Get your face out there, get known. Mm-hmm. It's tough, right? And I'm sure it didn't start easy whatsoever. I mean, you were 15 at the time, and then a young teen mom. That's not easy at all.
No, it definitely isn't. At 15, I started my own modeling career, just connecting with people. My first shoot was at Niagara College with a student there to help her with her final portfolio.
Okay, yeah.
And then I connected with a studio here, which is no longer around, and made a bunch of network connections from there. But what really took off my career was when I competed in Supermodel Canada back in 2019, and I ended up being the shortest model, which was 4 inches under the height requirement, and I made it to the finals. And I was also scouted for the Miss Progress International pageant and represented Canada and Italy later that fall.
Wow. So is that kind of the goal, traveling, modeling? That's the goal. So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now, because you are you're a jack of all trades in terms of managing your life, because you're managing a social media account with 14K or something like that, 14K. Yeah. You are working 2 part-time jobs. You run your own modeling agency. You're modeling. All these kind of things while being a mom. So what's it's got to be stressful. So how do you kind of manage that stress? How do you manage and organize your time? I mean, it's enough that you're even here. It's incredible, right? So how do you kind of manage your time in that way?
So the biggest help that I have is obviously the school system. My little guy has started JK this year. So that giving me that 6 hours each day is able for me to book work. I put 2 part-times and then able to do interviews and photo shoots and stuff within the time frame. And then on the weekends, little man's also at his father's, so I'm able to then have the opportunity. I have my little guy all the time during the week, and then before school started, it was every single day, and then trying to have a babysitter here and there. But a lot of the times, little man did come to a couple shoots and stuff with me. So there are a couple events where you see a couple photos of him. I've got him a couple. He actually did a shoot for the Americana as well with me.
You're kidding me.
So we were also broadcasted across Niagara Parks and stuff.
That's incredible.
Being able to intertwine my career and personal life in a way is kind of nice.
So it's almost like you're having him embrace what you're doing and really have a full understanding of it, and even allowing him to have some fun, because I think, whether you're in videos, filming videos behind the camera or in front of the camera, it really is that creative person that's going to find fun out of the most stressful times when it comes down to we got to get the shoot done. It has to look a certain way, whatever it looks like. So kind of run us through getting into modeling and fitness. You kind of touched on that, but you said your career took off in 2019 when you got featured in, where was it?
Supermodel Canada.
Supermodel Canada. So how did you even get featured in Supermodel Canada?
So Supermodel Canada I found on Instagram. So utilizing your social medias like Facebook and Instagram was what really built my career, and we can thank Coco Rocha for that, because she is the model that really brought in social media aspect into the modeling industry,
Right.
because everything was before, you know, you have to show up to a casting call with your photos, with your comp cards and stuff. And you can't.
Well, so they wouldn't even know what you look like or
They didn't know
anything like that.
anything about you besides the photo that you either showed up with or what your agent sent. So
Wow.
social media, like in the 2000s when I was born, there was no like technology or any social media. So there was no like online platform that they could see you ahead of time. It was whatever you showed up at that day.
Right, right.
So, and obviously, you know, all these standards and everything were completely different. Now how Instagram and social media has completely opened the eyes of all like the industry and whatnot, being able to be more inclusive, more jobs, more opportunities. I'm able to actually get more jobs around the world now because of the technology and the connections that we're able to make, rather than, you know, hoping that I'll get stolen by an agency 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So utilizing an Instagram and a Facebook presence is key in this industry, unless, you know, you're scattered by a model, an agency right away, which I have heard and met people with these stories where.
Gotcha. So there's different routes that you can kind of make it as a, you know, a fitness model or like modeling in general.
I actually started out as a fashion model. My main thing is fashion modeling and whatnot. I just started working out and adding fitness aspect and started connecting with more fitness brands. So a lot of people think, oh, she's mainly a fitness model, but I actually am both fashion and fitness. So mostly a lifestyle kind of model.
Gotcha. So you've kind of opened that door to a lot of different avenues you can take. So do you think you have a set way you want to go in terms of like, I want to be a fitness model, I want to be a fashion model, I just want to live my life, get whatever shoots I can? Like, what does that kind of look like? What are the dreams there?
So for my modeling career, I want to actually like get signed by an agency. I want to do more fashion shows. Like I've walked a few fashion shows already, and I have one coming up next Friday. And I want to do more like brand commercial shoots and whatnot, and kind of put the name out there for petite models, because I am only 5'3", which people don't really realize until they meet me. So everyone thinks I'm like 5'8" because how much work and how I do my modeling and how I pose and my photography is taken. But like when they finally meet me in person, they see like she has the attitude of that model. That's what people are really looking for in the industry. And I really just want to grow and become more of a professional model. But I also want to take these skills and everything that I learned and still be a model coach and help others achieve their dreams, whether it be modeling, fitness, whatever career they really want to get into.
Yeah, no, definitely assisting them in that. And, you know, coming from somebody who has a lot of experience like yourself, it actually speaks volumes to people wanting to listen to you. They gravitate towards you because you've had the mistakes, you've had the failures, you've had those lessons that you've had to learn and the time management skills to be able to get to this point. Exactly. But obviously there's some more dreams you still want to accomplish and stuff like that. Let's talk a little bit about, so you have a pretty big following on Instagram and social media in general. Do you think being featured in these magazines or wherever you were really blew that up? Or was it like your own doing in terms of just consistently posting, interacting? Like, what was that growth kind of like? How did you get that?
So I'll be honest, I am not the most consistent on Instagram. On my feed, if you look at the timeline of how many posts I make, I'm more consistent on my stories because I feel more people are interactive there for myself. Right. Each individual is different. My friend has more views than me on her stories, and then she doesn't have, and she makes even less posts than me because that's where her interaction is as well. But I see people who have like low story views but high interactions on their feed posts. So you got to see where your algorithm and your logistics kind of lie there. But being consistent somewhere and having a platform somewhere is really big key when it comes to obviously having your Instagram and social media. When it comes to growing, utilizing other forms of social media like your Facebook, LinkedIn, Clubhouse is a big one I've been noticing because you're talking to people and actually like having conversations.
Yeah, they get to know you better, right?
Right, and you're able, because you're in rooms, and then you're able to, you know, put a face to that name when you connect with their Instagram. So it's a lot of word of mouth as well. So when I'm meeting people in person or when people are running up, like I was at the outlet mall like a couple weeks ago and someone's like, I absolutely love your outfit. Where'd you get it? I'm like, I'm actually wearing one of my brands that I work for. Yeah. So I was able to connect with someone right then and there. So it's putting yourself in the room, putting your name out there and trying to get your name in other rooms that you're not into. So making a conversation for yourself, letting people talk about you. Cause like I was walking home into my apartment the other day and one of the moms was like, oh, I was talking to my boyfriend here. He's met all the moms except for you because seeing you is like once in a blue moon. She's like a fitness model and all this. So I know my name is in many rooms that I haven't even walked into yet because I make a conversation. And that is a big thing for your brand because having that conversation and extending it, obviously.
Yeah, and extending it to somewhere where you're not even in the room, like you said. So actually, you make a very good point. It's almost like your growth on social media hasn't been trying to like follow a bunch of people or anything like that. Hasn't been any of those generic ways. Me. Yeah, and just being you.
Showing people that no matter what life throws at you, you're able to do anything, that you're still having your mindset too. I post a lot of affirmations every single day because it's putting my mindset in a positive way. A lot of people read these affirmations and are like, I needed this today. This is great. Like, oh my God, like, how do you keep up with this? And I'm going to be adding some more content and stuff about explaining affirmations and all that and how it helps me. I'm going to be reading an article actually after this about affirmations in children and helping them out with their mindset and whatnot. So doing these little things builds just who you are. Just really expressing who you really are on Instagram or social media in general is what's going to bring the authenticity and the real following that you're going to want.
Yeah, and that's, like you just said, the real following. Because, I mean, you can get a lot of followers, like, let's say on TikTok. I mean, you could get one video that just blows up and then it's like it slowly just dies. That's a fake following, right? That's not, and to be honest with you, we could probably talk about that a little bit, is like that growth on TikTok has been like,
it's up
really
and down.
Weird. Yeah. Like,
so I don't know if you know Michaela Dancer. She has like 13 million or 14 million on TikTok.
I think I've heard of the name. Yeah.
So she's that redhead who dances.
Yes.
Right. So she and I actually connected when she was under 1 million, and we actually followed each other on Instagram and whatnot at the time and whatnot. So watching her grow and see the progression that she's been able to make from just being in her room to now working with, Iggy Azalea and all these huge industry people. And, the closest thing that I had to that is like, I know the owner of Club Penguin. Like, I know Lane Merrifield. We've talked on Instagram and stuff. We follow each other and engage a lot all the time.
Wow.
And he used to be a dragon on Dragon's Den.
Right.
So being able to be connected with huge celebrities, that's another thing that social media has offered to us.
Right.
So building a recognition, the magazines and these interviews that you do with many different people, because I've done like, I think 5 or 6 podcast interviews now. So I actually went to my boyfriend and was like, Google my name on Spotify, see how many podcasts.
Yeah.
And a few actually came up, which is kind of cool. I was like,
well, hopefully this one comes up.
it should come up because I did follow you guys on Spotify.
Oh, thank you.
So adding to that. But yeah, it's like, I lost my train of thought.
No, you were kind of talking about like being you, and I 100% agree with you. And one thing I want to point out is you talked a lot about stories. That's a big one. And like, I noticed with your stories, and a good friend of mine, Andrew Perry, who's in the real estate industry, does a lot of stories, but he'll do stories with work. He'll do stories with family, his personal life. And I noticed you kind of do that too. Now, a lot of people are kind of against that in the way that they don't want to showcase what's going on in their everyday life constantly. But to be honest with you, I almost feel like it's something that you just have to do. Like,
it's almost in a way, like, if you're, like, people do it in different ways. I know people who document every single moment of their life, of their children growing up and how their family's growing and stuff. And I know people who, like myself, just do little highlights and whatnot, let people know what's going on. There are times where I know I'm like, hey, I need, like, there's a downtime where I'm at where I'm like, hey, I need to show my followers this, and be very transparent and very, like, true to who you are. Like, but the other big thing that I listened to on a podcast the other day, if you feel forced doing something, don't do it. Like, for me, for myself, like, I'm not the biggest on making video content, and a lot of people are like, oh, be on video content. I'm like, I am not the greatest. So, like, if you don't feel up to it, if you don't feel yourself doing it, don't bother doing it, because it's not going to be your best work. And having the positive mindset, back to the affirmations, utilizing those when you're trying to make content is making sure that you're in a positive mindset when you're going to go and
it's so true. And like, some of the people that at least I know, it's like either they want to do video content but they don't want to be in it, or they want to do video content, they want to be all over it. Like, there's so many different avenues you can take, I guess, now with content. It's almost like, just take what you want to do, even if it's just photos.
Yeah, if it's just photos, do it. If it's just writing, do it. If it's just quotes, do it. Because following the trend or what everyone's doing is not who you are.
Right.
You don't want to be a sheep, be a shepherd. Do your thing, do what you want that feels great to you, because in the end of the day, it's what makes you happy. It makes what's true to yourself. Doesn't matter what other people are saying on the other side of the screen. Comments, who cares? Messages, who cares? You can delete them. They're gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Pay no mind. Really, you know what RuPaul says? She says, if they're not paying your bills, pay them no mind.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true. I've never heard that before. That's funny. Okay, let's talk a little bit about now moving forward from your growth on social media, now coming into like what you're doing now to build connections, build a network, get noticed, get recognized by people. I know you got a cool fashion show coming up next Friday. Congratulations on that. But now, how are you like getting more fashion shows? How are you getting people to notice you more than, a year ago? Like what's changing for you and what are you doing to make it grow consistently?
So being able to reach out to individuals and connecting with people that I connected with before COVID and whatnot. So like for the instance, for the fashion shows that like Supermodel Canada and the fashion show that I'm doing next week, I'm connected with the Toronto Fashion Academy. I'm one of their students. I paid the tuition to do classes. And whatnot.
Right.
So in that, I'm tied within their network, and they end up getting me jobs and stuff. So that's one network to go through, is having like that school kind of thing. So that's kind of what I'm offering here in Niagara, is teaching and education for all aspects of the industry, and then growing those connections and being a job board and stuff. So finding connections like that. So networking in person through events, networking on social media is another big one. Doing podcast interviews and stuff.
Yeah,
huge. Doing any sort of interview, honestly. You could just do a Facebook Live or Instagram Live kind of share screen thing. Those go off really well as also that I've noticed. And then you can take those videos and like do your video content that I'm not the greatest at.
It's true, because I mean I noticed, find it funny that you kind of said, oh, I'm not big into video content, yet you're here. It's funny because it's like you'll take, like, because I noticed you still post your stories, you still
I take
post
the opportunities.
photos.
Take the opportunities if they're there, because if it's like instance, like I'm good with talking. I'm great with talking.
Yes,
I
very,
talk a lot. I'm not the greatest with writing. So I take a little bit of time, and I actually have to like block out my content and stuff. So when I want to add my my captions and my information, I literally block out time to write out inspiration and information and stuff and whatnot, and plan out posts ahead of time, which is the big key when you're creating as well on social media. I also don't look at myself as a content creator. I look at myself as a model and a coach, because brands come to me and like, hey, can you make this content for me? Can we pay you to do this? I look at it as promoting and branding more so than content creating. Because, right. I'm not going out there looking to create content. It's people coming to me to
pay you to create content for them, basically.
Exactly. That's right. How it is. Like, I don't want to go out of my way and be like, hey, I'm going to be paid this much money to make this much content for you every month. No, like, send me product for product. I'll do like a review post. Those are the best that I like doing, is because I get to try the product. People get to see my firsthand and whatnot. So,
and people value that opinion.
They
right?
really do. That's talking to real people and having real opinions, real testimonials is what sells products. And that's what biggest thing with the 21st century is network marketing. Word of mouth is still the biggest key when it comes to selling anything.
It's true. And it's so funny, right? Because it's funny because as much as we can try to focus on social media, being online, that kind of thing, it is always going to be a handshake to a handshake, or, looking eye to eye, or it's always going to be that way of relationship building and networking, no matter what you do.
You can
right?
talk to someone on the screen, over text, over the phone for how many times, but until you make that in-person eye to eye connection, yes, they can grow. There are people who do work remotely completely.
It's like it solidifies it, right?
It solidifies it, exactly. So putting a face and an in-person opinion to the person that you've been talking to for, 3 or 4 years.
100%. No, it's true. Yeah. And it's funny because it's like, I think a lot of people get lost in that, is trying to just text people and hide behind their phones. But honestly, seek discomfort and just get out there, right?
If you are easier with typing and texting your words out, attempt and try voice messages. I prefer voice messages so much better, because you have a voice of the person. You can go to their profile and say, okay, that's their face, and it's a better connection than reading what they've texted, because as well you're able to see the tone in their voice and get an actual like full understanding of what the person's trying to say. Because we already know through text and emails, a lot of stuff gets interpreted and like misinformation and whatnot. Right?
No, that's true. Actually, that's a good that's a good point you make, is like sending voice messages and stuff. I gotta start doing that.
Like, one thing I did listen to on a podcast on one time, which I haven't attempted yet, but like when you get a new authentic follower, send them a voice message like, "Hey, great, thank you for the follow. Nice for you to be in our network. I hope you like our content." And whatnot.
Really?
Stuff like that. I listened to that on a podcast a bit ago, but I thought that was kind of cool because as soon as the person follows, like obviously not within the 2 seconds, like give it like an hour or so. I'm like, "Hey, I noticed you followed us. Thank you so much for your your support."
Your support, yeah, yeah.
So that gives that follow, like, can solidify that follow completely because that person talked to me. I know who they are. I heard who they are, and they actually, like, reached out. They're not just some page. And
they gave you your time, right?
Exactly.
Oh, man,
and
that
it's
is...
2 seconds to say
That's so true. Like, that's incredible. If nobody got anything out of the talk, that is something that you got to get out. Because it's like, to do that, to solidify it, and to make sure that you're connecting with somebody, it just goes to show that you can connect with people over social media in some way, shape, or form to solidify a follow, make them say, "Oh yeah, I know this person," or "I know of this person," rather than just clicking a button and then forgetting about you.
Right? And they click a button. That's the other thing. They click a button and forget about you. You send that message, you're in their message box.
Yeah.
So if it's a person who doesn't talk to a lot of people on Instagram, your face will constantly be there. "Oh, what's that story?" And it'll be there constantly for them to see every single day.
That's so true.
Right?
Like, you're always top of mind, right?
Exactly.
So I guess I don't have to ask you then what you're doing to be top of mind, because realistically, it's like you're constantly DMing, messaging, and posting stories. So you're always up at the top, always coming up first, second, third, whatever it is.
Exactly.
You're always there, right? And that's the goal. So, Makayla, we're kind of running out of time here, but I want to ask you, where do you see 5 years from now? 10 years is probably too hard to think about. I don't know. I can't think 10 years from now. That's too hard.
10 years too hard.
Yeah. But 5 years, where would you see your growth on social media? Where would you be? Would it be in Italy? Would it be a fashion show in Milan? Would it, like, I'm sure that's the dream.
My
but
friend's actually in Milan for a fashion show.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Now.
Oh,
so it's
my
kind of funny
word.
that you mentioned that. So in the 5-year term, I want to have my own, like, operations. So, like, my agency in one spot, having, like, not necessarily my own gym because I don't want to be my own personal fitness coach, but having a gym there for utilization, for, you know, my models to go and work out and whatnot, have my own area to work out and whatnot. And then, you know, the career-wise, like, in 5 years, I'll be 26. Usually that's the year of retirement for models, if you didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah, so in the modeling industry, usually you retire about 26, 27.
And then you're kind of doing an entrepreneur type thing.
If you're lucky and you did that. Some models just do modeling and like, "Oh, wait, what do I do?" So unless they built and solidified their career, sometimes they're like, "I don't know what to do." So a lot of models that people don't realize, like when I was in Italy, Miss Mexico, she's an engineer from
You're
Mexico,
kidding
right?
me.
So like a lot of us have different jobs. Like another one who currently is Miss Earth, my Alice is her name. I did Supermodel Canada with her. She's an accountant in Toronto.
Wow. So she's doing, so all these people, like 26 years old, to be basically said like, "No, you're kind of done."
Basically.
Or like probably 90%. Am I right?
90% of them, exactly. So unless you've solidified a career or like a brand for yourself, it's really hard to get and continue a career after 26, 27 in the modeling industry.
So let me jump in right there, because it's really interesting, because I see you thinking ahead then.
Yeah.
Because I see you thinking, well, if I'm one of those that's done at 26, right?
I don't want to be. I want to continue like Kathy Jacobs and whatnot.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But, you know, if it's not enough to pay the bills, let's say, right?
Backup.
You have the backup of a coaching platform.
Exactly.
Right? Because your mindset
models.
and what you know never goes away.
Nope.
That's not outdated by any means.
No, it's not.
Right?
Exactly. And I'm able to still utilize the experience and the information that I've learned. I can still learn and do more education to teach these new models and help a whole new generation of models help do their own career, have their own job, and, you know, teach a lot more entrepreneurship, because this world really needs to
it. Yeah. No, it's so true. Well, listen, Makayla, we're going to kind of cut off the podcast here, but I want to ask you one more question. And this is kind of towards the audience, if you want to look at the Canon right there.
Got it.
What would you say to somebody like who is coming through high school, and has a lot of pressure. I mean, you had a ton of pressure, first of all, but somebody who is really just trying to make something for themselves, wants to get in specifically into fitness or modeling or something in that realm of social media, being an influencer in some way, shape, or form. What would you say to somebody to like take the first step to do it?
So anybody who's in high school or doing anything who want to take their first step, first off, don't listen to anybody what anybody says. I actually was the girl in school that no one sat near, that no one talked to. I remember in like high school when I went to Eden, I was sitting in the cafeteria by myself constantly. No one, like I remember sitting down at a table and an entire group of 6 got up and walked away because they didn't want anything to do with me.
Really?
So,
it was that?
It was something like that.
Oh my word.
I had that happen to me. So don't listen to what anybody says. Be true to yourself. Do what you want. Be that weird kid. Be the like superstar. Be the outgoing one. A lot of people thought I was like stuck up and like out there and whatnot. But now look at where I am. I've built a success and a brand for myself because of I continued being true to myself. And you know, that's going to be who you are. And it doesn't matter what anyone else does to you or says to you. You're capable of coming out of any sort of turmoil that you're in and to succeed and soar for the stars.
Well, listen, Makayla, that was so beautifully said. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really grateful.
Of course. We're going to fade it out here, guys. And yeah, stay tuned. We're going to have some more awesome episodes real soon. Thanks, Makayla.
Thank you, guys.
Ciao. Thank you for listening to this week's Golden Guest on the Meeting Gold podcast. If you learned something from today's episode, make sure to check out our other content on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, make sure to leave us a follow while you're there. Thanks, and have a golden day.